Good morning, School District of Fort Atkinson, and welcome to the 2020-2021 school year. It is more than a pleasure to welcome you to what has been a pretty incredible ride over the past several months. I think all of us have been on roller coasters from time to time. I think some of us have really enjoyed those rides, and some of us, you get back in that line and it's worth the 45 minutes of serpentine waiting to go again. And then there are others that don't like it so much. Well, I'm here to tell you that this year, I believe, has been and I know will be a roller coaster. So we're going to have to do what we can to support the people around us, to help people out right next to us if they're feeling a little sick from now and then. But remember, we can always get through this together. So this morning it's my pleasure to introduce our Board of Education. I think we'd all agree that our board has had more than their fair share of work over these past many months. It's been a complicated year, and it's been a complicated pandemic as well. So whether we've been up or down or in between, I'd like to reach out and thank to all 5 of our board members. We have Rachel Sneathen, our Vice President. Adam Paul is our current Treasurer. Corey Nickerum, our clerk, and Amy Reynolds, our board member. Of course, we also have Mark Cheney as president. In fact, here's Mark to give us a welcome.
Welcome, Fort Atkinson School District learning community. We did it. We made it to the 2021 school year. What an adventure. Like the song says, what a long, strange trip it's been. But now it's time to shine. It's your time to shine. So shine on, you crazy diamonds. The Board of Education are excited to see the things you'll do this year because we know they'll be great. So have a fantastic voyage through your next school year.
Now, I'm not sure that many board presidents will give you a Grateful Dead and a Pink Floyd reference in under 45 seconds. So thank you very much, Mark. And I know the entire Board of Education is more than behind each and every one of us as we head into this adventure we'll call the new school year. It's also my pleasure to welcome all of you from my A-team. And I don't mean A-team like this. I mean A-team like this. And if you think back to this spring when we were all working from our armchairs or wherever we were when our buildings were closed, this team of individuals, I call them the A-team because that's exactly what they are. Our administrative team have been an indelible strength for me and for us as we work through these crazy times together. So they all welcome you. I know so many of you have worked with them already in your individual buildings, but it's the collective, it's the whole that make that team who they are and what it is that they can do to support us as we move into the new school year. We also have a number of new staff, and I'm guessing that many of you met them in your building meetings yesterday, which is fantastic. But we have Mandy Harper, our Director of Human Resources, and among the many things that Mandy's been working on has been bringing in our new staff and getting them all set up to be successful this year. And here's Mandy to introduce our new staff to the School District of Fort Atkinson.
Good morning. My name is Mandy Harper. I am the Director of Human Resources here at the School District of Fort Atkinson. Every year at Convocation, I get to highlight new members of our 1-Fort team. Our administrative team and so many others have been working toward this moment. There have been what seems like never-ending changes around us. There has been uncertainty. There have been even more changes. There have been really tough moments. But we are finally at the beginning of the 2020-2021 school year. Now, we as a School District of Fort Atkinson family have the amazing opportunity to come together and use our hearts to achieve an incredible goal. We get to move forward and do the best we can for the people who really matter to us, our students and their families. I think we are truly lucky to have the opportunity to play such a huge role in our students' lives. We get to find new ways to engage learners, as well as share awesome resources with our colleagues. We will discover cool new ways to involve technology in our classrooms. I can't wait to see the amazing things that are going to happen this year. While we are looking forward to the future, please help me welcome some new and a couple of familiar faces. We would like to extend a very warm welcome to the following new staff members. First, Danielle Anderson. Danielle is joining the Fort Schools team as an at-risk teacher at the Fort Atkinson High School. Danielle's educational background includes a Bachelor's of Science in Education with a focus on math and physics education at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater and a Master of Education in Instructional Technology. Danielle loves spending time with her family. She has 4 sons. She enjoys playing in the Beaver Dam and Sun Prairie area community bands. She also enjoys spending time visiting state parks, kayaking, and geocaching. Recently, she's been working on picking up some new skills with crochet, playing the ukulele, and finishing an entire book. Welcome to our 1-4 team, Danielle. Brian Zago. Brian will be an earth science and physics teacher at the high school level. Brian loves learning and trying new things. He enjoys doing as many outdoor activities as possible with his wife and 3 boys. Brian's bachelor's degree was completed at Kansas State University, and he has a master's degree from Cardinal Stritch University. Welcome, Brian. Allison Parsons. Allison will be teaching agriculture at the Fort Atkinson High School. Allison's educational background includes a Master of Science in Agricultural Education. When she's not in the classroom, she enjoys reading and running. She's always interested in learning new things or talking about animals. She has an adorable dog named Holly. Welcome to Fort Atkinson, Allison. Jaden Rush. Jaden is joining our team as an elementary music teacher at Purdy Elementary School. Jaden and her husband live in Madison, where they love to ride their bikes to the Arboretum and Picnic Point. They also enjoy spending time outside of the city at a family farm, in Wausau skiing during the winter, and near her hometown of Twin Lakes. Jaden studied K-12 general and choral music education at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Welcome to our 1-4 team, Jaden. Matthew Champney. Matthew will be teaching social studies at the middle school level. Matt's educational background includes a Bachelor's of Arts in Education at Cardinal Stritch University. He's married with 3 daughters. He has a passion for teaching. When he's not in the classroom, he spends much of his time coaching a traveling softball team. Welcome, Matt. Kayla Telfer. Kayla is going to be teaching 5th grade at Berry Elementary School this year. Kayla is a Fort Atkinson native. She graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater with an elementary education degree with middle childhood through adolescence and a minor in special education. She loves spending time with her husband and 2 dogs. Her hobbies include being outdoors, crafting, and photography. Welcome back, Kayla. Michael Knutson. Michael is joining our team as a 4th grade teacher at Berry Elementary School. Sports are an important part of Michael's life. His interests include the Brewers and coaching. For the past 2 seasons, he has been coaching here in Fort Atkinson with the high school basketball team and in Jefferson with the baseball program. Michael graduated from Fort Atkinson High School in 2011 and continued on to his teaching degree at Cardinal Stritch University. Welcome back, Michael. Leah McKelvey. Leah is coming to us as a family and consumer education teacher at the Fort Atkinson High School. Leah loves spending time with friends and family. Her interests include biking, gardening, live music, camping, and cooking. She's currently working on her 3rd license in Family and Consumer Sciences through the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. Welcome, Leah. Amy Dwyer. Amy will be a cross-categorical teacher at the Fort Atkinson Middle School. Amy graduated from Ripon College in 2013. She loves being with her family and friends. She enjoys playing with her 2 dogs. You might also find her watching sporting events or playing games. Welcome to our team, Amy. William Eckersdorfer. William will be teaching at the Fort Atkinson Middle School as an at-risk teacher. William's educational background includes time at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh and high school in Mayville. William has taught in the Wisconsin Department of Corrections for 13 years and spent the last 14 years teaching in Minocqua, Wisconsin. Welcome, William. Natalie Elfering. Natalie is joining our team as a technology education teacher at the middle and high school levels. Natalie grew up in a small town on a sheep and beef farm. She enjoys being outdoors and especially hiking and biking. Her faith is a big part of her life. Natalie is a University of Wisconsin-Platteville graduate. Welcome to the 1-4 team, Natalie. Michael Quesnell. Michael is coming to us as a business education teacher at the Fort Atkinson High School. Michael's passions include running, cycling, geography, and reading. He has a bachelor's in business administration from the University of Wisconsin-Madison and a master's of science in education from the University of Wisconsin-River Falls. Welcome to Fort Atkinson, Michael. Nathan Feeney. Nathan will be teaching English at the Fort Atkinson High School. Nathan has spent time at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. When not in the classroom, you might see Nathan exploring nature. He loves to canoe and kayak, especially along the Milwaukee River. Welcome to our 1-4 team, Nathan. Kendall Inojos. Kendall will be teaching at Rockwell Elementary School at the 5th grade level. Kendall enjoys spending time with her husband and her 2-year-old daughter. They enjoy taking care of their horse, goats, chickens, and dogs together. Kendall graduated from Lake Mills High School and she completed her post-secondary education at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. She is looking forward to teaching here in Fort Atkinson. Welcome, Kendall. Susanna Morowski. Susanna will be joining us as a staff member after a long-term substitute assignment as a high school German teacher. Susanna's family is originally from Darmstadt, Germany. She came to Whitewater in 2000. Her son and daughter are in college at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Her husband is an engineer in Chicago. In summer, she loves to spend time with family and friends, read books, and travel. During the winter, she likes to ski. She has a unique educational background, including a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theater Design with an emphasis in costumes at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, and a Master of Fine Arts in Fashion Design at the Academy of Arts in San Francisco. She learned 5 languages during high school and while working for an airline in Frankfurt, Germany. She decided to get her teaching certification at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Welcome back to our 1-4 team, Susanna. Rochelle Rotman. Rochelle will be a school counselor at Luther Elementary School this year. Rochelle's educational background includes time at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, focusing on counselor education. She loves taking road trips, drinking coffee, and spending time with her family. Rochelle has been a special education aide at Berry for the past 2.5 years. She is thankful for the opportunity to remain a member of the 1-4 family and begin her career as an elementary school counselor. Congratulations, Rochelle. Kayla Myers. Kayla is coming to the Fort Atkinson School District team as a school counselor at Rockwell Elementary School. She enjoys spending time with her family, especially her 2 pugs, Tika and Tula. She enjoys taking trips to her family cabin in Mountain, Wisconsin to relax, go fishing, boating, hiking, and more. Welcome to Fort Atkinson, Kayla. We are lucky to have such wonderful additions to our 1-4 team. Please know that as the year progresses, our Human Resources team is available to support you. I am available via email at any time, or our website has some great information and answers to frequently asked questions. The HR team wishes you an incredible school year, and we can't wait to see those amazing things that are going to happen.
Thank you, Mandy, and more than anything, welcome to all of our new staff to our 1-4 family. It is incredible to see the amount of talent and skill and all of the goodness that you'll bring us in the 2021 school year. So again, welcome to the family. Let's move on to the awards portion of the program, and we're going to begin with our outstanding support staff. And this award is going to be presented by Lisa Hollenberger, our Director of Special Education and Pupil Services. So let's turn things over to Lisa.
Hello, SDFA staff, and welcome to the 2020-2021 school year. This is bound to be a school year like no other, and I can't wait to get started. It is my honor and privilege today to recognize this year's nominees for the Outstanding Support Staff Award and present it to one very deserving recipient. When I think back to the presentation of this award at Convocation last year, it literally seems like a lifetime ago, or maybe 2 lifetimes ago. However, when I reflect on how rapidly our lives switched course, it never ceases to amaze me how every single member of our district adjusted to those changes and worked on making the most of this opportunity. I mean, think about it. People who started the year monitoring lunchrooms and playgrounds finished the year riding buses to deliver lunches. People who were working side by side with students at the beginning of the year were providing support on video calls and Zoom classes by the end. People who started the year collecting attendance and recording absences ended the year handing out boxes of supplies and collecting Chromebooks. The list could go on, but I think you get the idea. These are the actions of people who are the true MVPs of our One Fort team. This year, I have the honor of recognizing 26 incredible nominees for this award and presenting the award to someone who is absolutely deserving. Since there is no looming walk down a sloped aisle to the front of the auditorium where you stand awkwardly facing your colleagues and peers, I invite you to celebrate your name's announcement in whatever manner is most comfortable for you while names are being announced. Laura Wow, Special Education Aide at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Kelly Todd, Kindergarten Aide at Rockwell Elementary. Tanya Schultz, Special Education Aide at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Cindy Benson Schnell, Learning Aide at Rockwell Elementary. Amy Schmidt, Special Education Aide at Purdy Elementary. Rochelle Rotman, Special Education Aide at Berry Elementary. Deb Reichert, Special Education Aide at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Zach Niger, District-wide Technology Specialist. Angela Lakari, Special Education Aide at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Tiana Lietzau, Special Education Aide at Berry Elementary. Lisa Kutz, Cook at Fort Atkinson High School. Kim Kerr, Paraprofessional at Luther Elementary. Sabra Jacobson, Student Learning Aide at Luther Elementary. Mary Jones, Custodian at Fort Atkinson High School. Lisa Haas, Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent of Schools. Chris Hofer, Teacher Aide at Purdy Elementary. Ruth Gavin, Teacher Aide at Purdy Elementary. Katie Fry, Teacher Aide at Purdy Elementary. Cynthia Fizenik, Gifted and Talented Education Student Learning Aide at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Lacey Edwards, Library Aide at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Jocelyn Dawson, Special Education Aide at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Dawn Church, Special Education Aide at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Katie Bright, Special Education Aide at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Samantha Brandenburg, Special Education Aide at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Peggy Beauchart, District-wide Gifted and Talented Teacher Aide. Liz Benshovel, Special Education Aide at Rockwell Elementary. Thank you to all of you for your dedication to our families, students, and staff. Congratulations on your nomination. This year's recipient is described as being all in, and the various nomination letters referenced the expertise that this individual exhibits in every part of their job, embracing each challenge they face, making it a learning experience for everyone involved. This individual has a true passion for their job and never seems even the least bit overwhelmed. The confidence that this year's recipient exudes in their position automatically transfers to those with whom they interact. They have a knack for immediately putting others at ease and making no question seem impossible or unanswerable. This year's recipient played a major role in the success of One Fort at Home, dedicating countless hours to making sure everyone could access learning. Described as wonderful, professional, patient, compassionate, understanding, patient, helpful, polite, patient, and absolutely amazing, the 2019-2020 Outstanding Support Staff Award goes to Zach Niger.
Zach? Support Staff of the Year? Totally. I mean, I know it doesn't win you any awards, but he is like the nicest guy in the world. And he speaks to you in a language that you understand. It's not like a stereotypical IT guy who's more like a troll who's like, and iteratively talks to you his thought process. Like, he's a pretty cool dude. Almost suspiciously cool. Kind of like, what are you up to? He's incredibly efficient. I mean, you could be at the breaking point of technical frustration. Fine, I'll open a ticket. Hey, buddy, how'd you get here so fast? I kind of think he might be a robot. I mean, I know he said his parents live in Delavan, but I've never met them. He practically single-handedly supports the entire district. And in the spring, when we shut down, I was like, hey, buddy, guess what? You gotta support the entire community too. You're like, meh, no big deal. I mean, he might be a robot, which is cool. We don't discriminate against robots in the tech department. So when I heard that he was running for Support Staff of the Year in the running, I mean, I can't think of a more appropriate candidate. His title is Technical Support Specialist. I mean, if he could do everything that he gets done in a day and go to meetings all day, I wouldn't have a job. I mean, Zach, you're doing great, but come on, keep the bar down a little bit. But in all seriousness, I'm really proud of you, Zach. You are a great colleague. You are so good at what you do. You're a great friend. Your potential is truly endless. And man, just keep being awesome. Good luck. Hey, Joel.
Hey, DJ, how's it going?
Good. What you doing?
I was gonna close this ticket, but it looks like Zach already did. I swear, I think he's a robot.
Did you hear he was nominated for Support Staff of the Year?
I did. I got an email from Lisa. I gotta make a video for that.
Yep. What do you think this is?
Oh, thanks, DJ.
So, why do you think Zach should win?
Well, he's cool as a cucumber. He's better organized than a Container Store. He's extremely knowledgeable. And he's practically the face of our department. He's the first person people see when they have tech issues, and he makes sure that they get resolved. And people know they can trust him to resolve their tech issues.
Very good. Anything you want to say to Zach?
I just want to say thanks for everything you do for the department. It's a pleasure to work with you, and you 110% earned this. You make our department look good, and if you win, you should take some time to recharge your batteries.
Thanks, Joel.
Congratulations, Zach.
Well, I just got word, we all know how demonstrative Zach is, that he's running up and down the halls at Luther, like, you know, virtually high-fiving people who aren't there. So congratulations again, Zach. Well done. Next, we're going to switch over to the Wildermuth Award for Excellence in Education. And this award this year will be given by Mr. Matt Wolf, who is the principal at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Take it away, Matt.
Good morning and welcome back. Today I have the pleasure of representing the Wildermuth Award for Excellence in Education Committee. We help recognize some of the incredible staff members who work in the school district of Fort Atkinson. This award is highly respected among the staff and community, in part because it is given in memory of Ron Wildermuth, a longtime teacher and director of instruction in Fort Atkinson. Ron had a strong involvement in the hiring of new teachers and planning convocation. Because of this, Mr. Wildermuth's family, especially his wife Judy, felt that our annual convocation would be the most fitting time to present this award. The Wildermuth Award for Excellence in Education was created to reward an educator in the school district of Fort Atkinson for exemplary work in the area of education. The award recipient may be a teacher, media specialist, guidance counselor, school social worker, school psychologist, or another certified staff member. Here are the nominees for this year's Wildermuth Award for Excellence in Education. Linda Dietz. Linda Dietz is a special education teacher at Fort Atkinson Middle School. Her nominator said this about her: "During the difficult transition period from elementary to middle school, Mrs. Linda Dietz was right there with my son. She did everything humanly possible to get to know him, try to understand what interventions and accommodations would be most helpful and which ones to avoid, as well as to offer support to him in his moments of intense anxiety. Every parent of a child with special needs could only dream for a teacher like Mrs. Dietz to come along for their child. Luckily for us, we're living the dream. Congratulations, Linda." Chris England. Chris England is a second grade teacher at Berry Elementary School. Here's what a parent had to say about her: "We could not have asked for a better teacher and mentor for our two kids. Over the years, you hope teachers instill a love of learning for your children, and she exceeded our expectations. She also comes in her free time to watch students at sporting events and volunteers at community events where her students see her instilling community service in her students. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Chris." Tony Isaacson. Tony is a speech pathologist at Rockwell Elementary School. One person who nominated her for this Wildermuth Award had this to say: "What makes Tony amazing is the time and heart she puts into all of her students. Tony will be found at school many afternoons and evenings, well past the time the building has cleared out. She is extraordinary. She is so smart and she loves what she does. The first time I met her in our child's IEP, I was in awe of her knowledge. She is everything that you could want in someone who is giving your child the gift of speech. Incredible job, Tony. Congratulations." Cynthia Smith. Cindy is a science teacher at Fort Atkinson Middle School, and here's what one nominator said about her: "Mrs. Smith is an excellent teacher. Even when we are just taking notes, Mrs. Smith finds a way to make it fun and engaging. She has really helped me come out of my shell this year, making me more comfortable in her class and indirectly in others. She always has something new and exciting for us to do. You never know what's coming next. Congratulations, Cynthia." Caitlin Stack. Caitlin is a special education teacher at Fort Atkinson Middle School. This is what one parent had to say: "Mrs. Stack is welcoming, kind, and willing to listen. Her smile never wavered. From the beginning of the school year, we knew that she was someone special. Mrs. Stack spent so much of her own time doing everything she could to make the transition from middle school to high school easier for all of her students. She truly changed our child's education. She is an amazing asset, teacher, person, and the Fort Atkinson Middle School is lucky to have her. Congratulations to you, Caitlin." Angie Zabo. Angie is an art teacher at the Fort Atkinson High School. Here's what one nominator had to say about her: "Angie Zabo has been a role model educator at Fort Atkinson High School for 9 years. Mrs. Zabo has led a team of art educators within the school district of Fort Atkinson to offer many new and exciting artistic courses and opportunities for students at all grade levels. How the visual arts have flourished in Fort Atkinson under her watch aligns perfectly with the district's mission to provide the quality opportunities and services each student needs to achieve his or her personal and academic potential. Congratulations, Angie." Mandy Tamblin. Mandy is a 5th grade teacher at Luther Elementary School. Here's what her nominator shared. Mandy brings a smile, a positive attitude, and a great work ethic to school each day. She is committed to making herself better. Mandy takes on all of the learning provided by the School District of Fort Atkinson and takes on personal learning and is proficient using technology in the classroom. She truly sees the glass as half full and likes to point out the good things that people are doing day in and day out. Mandy is a wonderful teacher who is committed to her own learning and, more importantly, the learning of her students. Incredible job, Mandy, and congratulations. Today's recipient will receive an engraved plaque and a check for $1,000. The Fort Atkinson Community Foundation has contributed $500, and the Board of Education and the Fort Atkinson Education Association have each contributed $250 towards this award. It is my honor to announce this year's winner of the Wildermuth Award for Excellence in Education as Angie Zabo. Congratulations, Angie. Here are a few messages from Angie's colleagues about why she deserves this honor.
Hi, I'm Frank Core, one of the art teachers at Fort Atkinson High School. I've had the great opportunity to work with Angie Zabo for the past 2 years. And things that have stood out to me about Angie have been her real concern, her sincere concern for our students' well-being, their mental health, and their artistic abilities. I think that her concern over the students' individuality, their person, more so than anything, is what really stands out to me and something that I truly admire. It's been a great opportunity for me to work with Angie over the past couple of years, and even more so, the best opportunity for our students. Those are some of the reasons why Angie Zabo is truly deserving of the Wildermuth Award. Thank you.
While it may only seem like such a small, tiny little word, what it represents is so much more. The arts are at the foundation of our existence. No matter the format, no matter the media, art provides purpose, meaning, joy, and so much more to our lives that can't be put in words. The same can be said of those that work to provide the inspiration for its creation. Putting all of this at the core of one of our exemplary art teachers would still be a short selling of what and who Angie Zabo is. Angie is, of course, an artist, an art teacher, an art lover, an art mentor, and I could keep going with a multitude of other connective adjectives to describe her connection to that field. Having said that, Angie is also a leader, a colleague, a mentor, a mentee, an advocate, a kind ear, a concerned voice, a kind soul, and a person that is truly deserving of any accolades that come from it. She speaks volumes of what she instills in our students and provides an example of what a caring and exemplar educator is. Her methodology and structure of classing, along with learning, is student-centered, guiding, and models best practices each and every minute that she is with our students here at FAHS. Their future, not just in the realm of the art world, is solidified by having Angie as their teacher, but their preparation for life as a whole is as well. They grow as artists, as appreciators of art, but also as future citizens and lifelong learners through art. Angie, congratulations on this recognition and achievement. We are so happy and proud that you earned it, and you are truly deserving. Congratulations.
I'm excited to nominate Angie for the Wildermuth Award. She's an amazing teacher who's very dedicated to her subject and also to making sure that students feel like they have a community at school. At school isn't just a place they have to come to every day, but a place that they want to because they feel like they're part of a community.
Once again, congratulations, Angie, for that well-deserved honor, and I hope all of you have a fantastic school year.
And congratulations, Angie, as well as to all of our nominees. Really, it's amazing to see so much talent all in one place. Congratulations to all of you, and Angie, a special congratulations to you. I'd like to shift gears a little bit this year. If you've been at the middle school for about 20 years or so, I have really taken the beginning of the year as an opportunity to set the stage, to do a little learning together and to try to come together around what it is that we want to do, who it is we want to be, where it is that we want to go throughout the course of the school year. And I think we're all well aware this is going to be quite a journey this year. And throughout the past several months, we've talked a lot about being one team. And when we talk about one team, we talk about the fact that we're going to be stronger together. So this is sometimes hard to do. It's easy to talk about, but sometimes it gets pretty tough. Sometimes it's far easier to be the individual, to go rogue, to do what it is that you want to do, and really, it's about the collective to bring people to a whole, to bring people together, to bring people to focus as one, because we are one team. And teams function best when they have a common source of mission, a common sense of where it is that they need to go and how it is best to go about getting there. And that is really what one team is all about here in Fort Atkinson. We talk about being one district. We talk about whether you teach at Luther, or if you teach at Berry, or if you happen to work at Purdy or Rockwell, the middle school, or the high school. It's not about building and it's not about location. It's about being part of something larger. And in this case, it's being part of the school district of Fort Atkinson. When we are in 6 different places, we cannot do what we can when we're all together in one place, serving as one district. And then, of course, we talk about being one community. And as much as the school district of Fort Atkinson is important to us and important to everyone who works here, all the kids who go here, all the families who are connected to the school district, it's also about the larger community. It's about Fort Atkinson as a whole. And I think over the past several months, we've seen exactly what that means, perhaps more than in many, many years, how the community has come to rally and support and to work with us as we've worked through these pretty uncharted territories. One Fort is really what this is about. It's about being one team, it's about being one district, and it's about being one community. And it's like any other type of relationship. Sometimes that takes work. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder, and sometimes it feels just right. But that is something that all, 350 plus of us that work here need to focus on. What is it that it means to be one Fort? What is it that we can do to support one another? And what is it that we can challenge ourselves to do in order to make teaching and learning even better here in the school district of Fort Atkinson? Now, back on October 15th, 2019, I got a call, and it was from Debbie Copps, who of course was the assistant to the superintendent at the time, and she said, "Hey, Rob, are you busy? Because the board would like to meet with you." So I had a sense of probably what was happening next, but I drove over to Luther, and I'll admit, like, I'm a pretty calm and cool guy most of the time, right? Got over to Luther, and the board asked me to step in as the interim superintendent. And as hard as it is to believe, I actually took some time to think about that. Because for me, that shift, for me, what would come next, not just for me, but what I felt that we could potentially do together as a school district was something that I didn't want to rush into. But admittedly, at that point in time, I think the district as a whole was feeling a lot of questions. Where were things going? What was happening? Who was doing what? And frankly, so did I. Reasonable. And then October 15th came around. I made the decision to step in. I've told these folks thank you, but I'd like to do so again today. I could not have done the work that we did together last year without the support of my Fort Atkinson Middle School family. I was there for 23 years. And like any other learning community throughout our district, these are some pretty incredible people. And they supported me, they helped me grow, and they were incredibly valuable in helping last year go the way that it went. So thanks again, Fort Atkinson Middle School. My heart will always rest with you just a little bit. And frankly, there is a lot unknown rather. The one thing I'll tell you with this job is that the more I'm in it, the more I realize that I didn't know what was part of it. And I'm a pretty knowledgeable guy. Sometimes we need to understand that we are living and we're working in situations where there are opportunities because we are going to be working as one fort in one community. Sometimes, though, that's pretty uncomfortable because we are, in fact, working through the unknown. Last year, in my first 2/3 of a year as superintendent, we also did a little thing called a referendum. And because of the collective of the One Fort community, and I don't just mean the school district, but of course all of our community members supported our operational referendum, which is in part what brings us here today. Little did we know just how important this would be, given the circumstances that we're finding ourselves in now. So, referendum, part of year one superintendent. Of course, we had the Facilities and Advisory Committee, and that committee was like cruising right along. There was some great work, and there will be great work yet to do, but a pretty big piece of where we were going as an organization last year was related to this Facilities and Advisory Committee. And then came COVID. So it went from hearing about it, went to talking about it, and then as we all know, in March, it became living with it and navigating what it is we would do, how it is that we would go about continuing to support our learning community as well as one another through something none of us have experienced, something that none of us have any experience with it, and something that many of us would react much differently to than one another. I always said jokingly that I would never do a superintendency for fear of making the wrong decision or being criticized for shutting down school on a snow day. Little did I know that we would be having the ultimate snow day, that we would be working through not just inclement weather, but really trying to understand how it is that we go about working through COVID together. So it has been 0 to 100, trust me, for all of us. But in that acceleration, success has come from the collective strength of all of us. So thank you for making last year what it was, for supporting me in my first year as a superintendency, and thank you for making One Fort all that it has become and continues to be moving forward. One of the things I didn't think that I would need to be doing, but I did, was making a collection of videos from my home throughout the spring and into early summer. And after several takes, I think sometimes they looked pretty good. I mean, they looked somewhat easy. But I thought it might be good to share with you some of the not so hot spots. But not to be lost there. All right. Good morning, if one, let's start again. And now, if you know me well, you know that I'm a planner, I'm a details guy, and I'm always about what it is that we're going to do next. Let's just stop there. All of those rituals and celebrations, those events that we so proudly roll out at the end of a Good morning, One Fort. Oh, let's start again. We showed that our most precious asset, of course, those are our kids, that we were still connected. That, for God's sake. We will rise to the occasion, utilize unwavering work ethics to be, oh, I got all over the place on that one. But we finished the 1920 school year. Now I know, if you know me well, yeah, operations, the events that we so we finished the 2019-2020 school. This summer, more than anything, keep you and yours healthy. Spend some time doing the things you enjoy. Seriously?
Did I ruin your cake?
Yep, you did.
I need my license.
Quinn, that was a really good
And we had it all the way to the last two sentences.
Oh no.
I tell you, you gotta love being a dad, right? I want to shift gears again. And I think it's important that we really talk a little bit about dichotomy, because I'm not sure that any of us can listen to, watch anything, have a conversation about just about anything with anyone, where there isn't this reinforcement of being on one side or the other, this sense of there's a division and either you stand here or you stand there. And that is a dichotomy, without getting too far into a sermon on it, that we need to be really careful about. Oftentimes, all of those around us, and oftentimes some of those among us, are seeing the world, are seeing the issues, are seeing decisions as black or white. It's dichotomous. You're on one side or the other. And frankly, we control how it is that we treat one another, how it is that we interact with one another, how it is that we choose to value other people's opinion, and whether or not we're willing to have a conversation, to sympathize, to empathize, to be there for one another, to find some gray. And one of the things that I know on this roller coaster of a year that we're going to need to do is really live in that gray. Really help one another move from one side to the other, because there are going to be opinions, there are going to be thoughts, there are going to be differences of opinion. But we control that. That doesn't have to happen to us. That's something that we can help be part of finding a solution. We can, Fort Atkinson. Now, the middle school folks, and I'm sure others in other buildings have talked about this before, but I want to come back to it because Hattie's work, as you know, is a meta study. So it's all of these thousands of studies of education, like legit studies, pulled together, and there's this meta-analysis of what is it that helps schools be effective? What is it that helps schools do better for kids? And there's a number of different items, and they are ranked from high to low, and some of the things, frankly, we thought would have great impact show to have a relatively small impact. And some of the things that maybe we take for granted, or some of the things that we know other people do well, or whatever the case might be, have a relatively high impact. And I want to talk just briefly this morning about two of those. The first one is the collective efficacy for teachers, which is second only to teachers' estimates of student achievement. So get this. As an educator, okay, and I would say that that's beyond the classroom teacher, as anyone who works with kids in whatever their role is across the school district, if kids know that you believe in them, if kids know that you think they can learn, that they can be successful, if kids know that you believe in their ability, they will show 4 times the growth. Okay, that's not me. That's clinically shown through study that that attribute, that installation of support and acknowledgement for kids 4 times the impact on their learning. Second only to collective efficacy. That is, the collective efficacy refers to a staff's shared belief that through their collective action, they can positively influence student outcomes, including those who are disengaged and or disadvantaged. That's what one team, that's what one district, and that's what one community is about. This isn't a nice to have, this is a need to have. This is about pulling people in who maybe are out on the fringe. This may be having to counterbalance colleagues or others who aren't seeing the vision, who aren't seeing the mission, who aren't seeing the work for what it is. This is second only to teachers' beliefs in students, is whether or not teachers can work effectively with one another. We control both of those things. Those are not outside intangible variables. Those are things that we in fact control. So what does that mean? When teacher efficacy is high, so again, I would say this is all school staff. When collective efficacy is high, teachers have high expectations for themselves. There's no sitting back and relaxing and last year was good enough, I'll do it all over again. It's about high expectations for themselves. It's looking for what has the largest impact on learning. Not the nice to haves, but the need to haves. It's believing they can set the stage for learning and overcoming obstacles. Okay? That's also persistence. So those hurdles are there things you jump over, and if you tip over, if you fall down, you get back up and you keep going. That is not a reason to stop. They do more planning and responsive replanning. Plan A didn't work so hot, you go on to plan B, but you don't move on. You rework, you replan, and you re-engage. They accept personal responsibility for learning. It's not about the person next door. It's not about the person in the office. It's not about the person anywhere else in the school system. They accept personal responsibility for the learning of students, and they persevere. They are not discouraged by those bumps I talked about just a second ago, and they focus on what can be changed instead of paralyzed by what can't. They focus on what can be changed and choose not to be paralyzed by what can't. Those are choices we make, folks. Those aren't things that are just done to us. That is, in fact, what makes a whole school. We can and we could, and we showed we could do an incredible amount of things together in a very short period of time. So I keep going back to March, and that's because I think some days that none of us will forget for different reasons, but who ever thought that we would pack up, close down our buildings, and go home? Who thought that we would be challenged in the ways that we have been over the past several months? And we persevered. We used collective efficacy to our advantage and to our community's advantage. So as a few examples, and these have been used around, but I think they're just too good to let go of. So we can, and we showed that we could. The nutrition team, so as you know, I've said before, they had meals served on the very first day we were closed. At the end, they served over 142,000 meals after COVID hit. Our instructional and pupil services and special education, those teams created, planned, and executed One Fort at Home. There was no blueprint for that. There were no ideas as to how would one do that if they were sent home and their buildings were closed during a pandemic. That happened. That was an I can moment. The IT team, I think we all know they've done a marvelous job, but during that short period of time, within a couple of weeks, we had 1,300 Chromebooks out, and not just out, but well managed and able to be in sync with One Fort at Home. Of course, our teachers, they gave us some grace. They buckled up, they learned new things very quickly, and they worked together to get into the homes of our students. Be vulnerable, to show families and kids some skills that they didn't even know they had in the comforts of their very own home. Our teachers, our support staff, everyone rose to the occasion. Our pupil services and special education team, they worked to support our students' social and emotional needs. We had counselors on call. We had contacts. We had information for families. Those services never stopped in perhaps some of our greatest times of need. And our Board of Education, amongst being ultimately supportive for whatever it is that we wanted to do and felt that we needed to do to support our One Fort community, they kept everyone whole. And they thought about whether or not they should about this much. It was instant. We all stayed working. We all stayed whole. Our contractors, our support staff, and on down the line. Everyone worked together, and we showed that we can. So let's talk about we will. We have a choice to make here, and I think this commercial will set up the next part of our talk together today.
Whoa.
Father, why can't we have direct TV like the McGregors do?
We're settlers, son. We settle for things, like having cable instead of direct TV.
Hey, Jebediah, how's it going?
Working the land, hoping for a fertile spring.
All right.
So, we have to live with lower customer satisfaction?
I'm afraid so. Now, go churn us some butter, boy, and then make your own clothes.
Yes, sir.
Don't be a settler. Get rid of cable and upgrade to direct TV.
I don't want to make my own clothes, trust me. We have a choice. We can be pioneers, We can till the land, plant, and then reap its bounty, or we can settle. I'm pretty sure in our One Fort community, it's a no-brainer that we will be pioneers. I need each and every one of us, and I'm including myself in all of these equations, folks. We need to be pioneers this year. And with those challenges, we need to bring others along. We need to show some grace to one another, and we need to be willing to work hard. If you think our future will require better schools, you're wrong. The future of education calls for entirely new learning environments. If you think we'll need better teachers, you're wrong. Tomorrow's learners will need guides who take on fundamentally different roles. Now, I shared this with the middle school staff last year, and we had a pretty good conversation around this quote. Little did I know that this year, this would have as much meaning and as much impact and as much relevance as it does to what we are about to embark on in our new school year. This is true. This is what we need to do in order to support the types and needs of learners in our classrooms. And I'd like to talk a little bit about today's students, because today's students, they're certainly not yesterday's, and they're certainly not a decade ago or 20 years ago or however long we've been in the roles we're in. And in fact, some of the colleagues that were just introduced as new staff or others are in this generation as well. But today's students are part of the first generation that do not need adults to get information. For those of us that have been at this for a while, that's been the role. Provide students, bestow them with knowledge and information. Whether we're willing or wanting to accept it or not, they do not need that from us. They are the first generation that can broadcast their every thought or emotion. Frankly, I think a lot of adults do that as well. Whether they should or shouldn't, kids can and they do. Broadcast very publicly their thoughts and their emotions. They're the first generation to enjoy external stimuli at their fingertips 24/7. We want to talk about addiction. I don't think that's just the kids. Constant stimulus. They're the first to be in social contact all the time, but are the generation that feel the most isolated from one another. So think about that a little bit. I mean, that's not just me saying it, it's a fact. In social contact all the time, but feel more isolated than anyone else. They're the first generation that will learn more from portable devices than class. The computer in their hand is the go-to in the immediacy of what they perceive their need to be. They are the first to experience profoundly more anxiety than any other past generation. So let's talk about Generation Z a little bit. Generation Z, in this slide I know has got a lot of stuff going on, but Generation Z has a number of different life stages that many of us have never even heard of before. But life stages have changed from just being a kid to being a teenager and then an adult. But the pace of the world as it has sped up has actually created shifts in development that are different than what we've been accustomed to in the past. So Generation Z, we work from childhood. We go to those tween years. Then we move on to teenage years. Then to young adult, to kippers, to adulthood, to career changer, then to downager. Quite honestly, I'm not even sure what a couple of these mean, and we have yet to see what they look like in action as time goes by. Gen Z are tech integrators. Statistics show they spend 10+ hours of tech use a day. 10+ hours. So add like a few hours of sleep and think about that. 5.1 billion Google searches a day. 5.1 billion Google searches a day. 48 YouTube views daily. And the list goes on. University education dropping rapidly. In addition to having kids college and career ready, we also need to teach life ready. There are many new careers that do not require a formal education, and we need to keep them or we will lose them. And we are not the source of information. We need to teach our learners the process of learning. The process of learning. They have more content than they know what to do with already. Our smart technology advances so quickly, it often outpaces our ability to civilize it. We have all of this around us. But how it's integrated, how it's managed, how it's understood, and how it's put to effective use does not come automatically. That is about the process of helping kids learn. That is a shift for many to make moving forward. So the classroom in most schools, so traditionally, and we're going to use the word pedagogy, which will get a lot of people excited, I know, but in traditional pedagogy, students, they were consumers. They got information. Teachers were commanders, which isn't necessarily a negative connotation, but that was the role. And schools fostered complacency. Okay, students did what they were asked and told to do. In transformational pedagogy, students are meaningfully engaged as creators. We don't bestow knowledge in our learning on them. They become co-creators in the process of learning. Teachers are consultants. This doesn't mean you give up your role. That doesn't mean that you don't have a place as the teacher, but your role shifts to being that of a support agent in helping kids through the process of learning. And they foster contribution. They welcome the discussion and the constructive challenge and the thoughts and ideas that kids bring to the classroom. The theory of teacher change, this isn't rocket science. Many of us, I think, have seen this many, many times, but I think it's important to go back to because this is what this year will be. Some of us have been forced into it. Some of us are excited about it. Some of us love the challenge. Some of us would love to go back to February, but all of those things are going to be in play this year. We will provide and we will continue to understand the professional learning we all need to be successful this year. So we have a number of things starting yesterday, but then again today and moving forward that we think will help you get started in the newness of the school year. But based on what we hear, based on what we get, based on what we acknowledge to be future learning requirements to be successful, we will continue to tweak our professional development program moving forward. Then it's changing classroom practices. So beyond the professional development, the theory and the new learning, it actually has to happen. And where does that happen? It happens in those learning environments. And then that invokes a change in student learning. But none of these things can happen out of order. And then lastly comes a change in a teacher or school staff member's attitudes and beliefs. So think about that for a sec. We do the learning ourselves. We are willing to integrate it and use it in classrooms. We start seeing a change in learning, but we needed that to have the change in our own beliefs and our own attitudes about the changes we've invoked. We're the last. That's fine, but let's acknowledge where we are in that equation. So let's talk a little bit about mirrored learning. Mirrored learning, depending on who you are and what you feel or what you're thinking or where things land with you, is exciting and scary all at the same time. But we're responding to the needs of our varied learning formats for the school year, in-person and remote. Mirrored learning is new for all of us. And to be successful, it has to be built on a foundation of solid planning. What we've done in the past, either to support you as educators and as staff members, has to change. The way that you plan for instruction and execute instruction with kids, that has to change. What we've done in the past will not work in what it is we're looking at going into the new school year. These changes move us to a more transformational pedagogy. That's not a destination, but it does move us toward a more transformational pedagogy. And we need to enact these changes not because we have to, and maybe that's where we are for some people. It's about compliance at this point. But my hope is, as the bumps are encountered and things smooth out and we find some rhythm and people find success and confidence, that it's not about having to do this, it's about wanting to do this. I would contend, and I've said it a number of times in different places, this is where we were headed anyway. It's just several years ahead of schedule. Education could not have stood still and remained viable for the future needs of our kids and families in the community. It just couldn't. So with COVID, things got moved up. But for us to have a mirrored or remote learning opportunity for kids isn't a nice to have. It's a need to have with COVID, I'll give you, but it's also a requirement for us to pivot, understand change, and move the district forward into the future. I think we've all seen this diagram. Okay, I'm not going to work through it with you, but we do have the tech support, and we do have the materials and the equipment and other things that you need to initially get started. But here's a tip. I'm willing to bet that we'll learn along the way some of the hits and some of the misses, and then we'll have to adjust. The challenge will be remaining cool, kind, and collective through all of those different phases. So let's talk about blended learning. So blended learning is the transformational pedagogy needed for our Gen Z learners. That's what will help them and us in our one-fort mirrored learning find success. We won't get there overnight, and admittedly, it's going to be a long journey, folks, with some bumps in the road along the way, but with incredible possibilities, with the incredible opportunities for kids and ourselves moving forward. Blended learning in our mirrored learning format, even our remote learners will have face-to-face time with teachers via Zoom. And all of our learners, in person and remote, will be connected with our learning activities to promote collaboration and digital interaction, therefore increasing student achievement. Given this roller coaster of a year ahead, our ability to pivot between these two learning formats, it's not going to be a nice to have. There may well come a day where we will see all three of these as a necessity. But our collective investment in developing our learning formats to their fullest is essential. That's the work we need to do and support each other with along the way. That investment starts with you. We must. We can, we will, and we must. We must come back differently. And if that wasn't yesterday for you, I hope that is today for you, or tomorrow for you, or the next day. But we must come back differently. Things have changed, and it's our responsibility to capitalize on those changes and make the best out of them. An infinite mindset fears surprises. A finite mindset fears surprises. An infinite mindset sees opportunity in uncertainty. We need an infinite mindset. And again, I'm willing to bet some of us aren't there yet. But we need to encourage those around us to find an infinite mindset. In each and every day or position of uncertainty, we need to find opportunity. I've used this slide a lot, and I've seen some other people use it as well, because I think it does a really nice job of showing so many of us like to think that success is like a well-laid plan. You start, you finish, and boom, you're done. You found success. When in reality, it really looks messy. It feels messy. Sometimes it feels unrewarding. Sometimes we feel sort of beat up by it. But eventually, with enough effort and enough re-strategizing, forming a new plan, getting things started in a whole new direction, we can in fact find success. My parents have a farm up in central Wisconsin. It's a beautiful place. I love to visit. It's a good spot for me. I went up a few weeks ago, and my mom said, "You got to look at this fern." So I went up and looked at this fern, and they have a blacktop driveway. At least part of the farmyard is blacktopped, and this fern, it's just a regular old fern, found its way through their asphalt, bubbled up through, and found a way. I'm pretty sure that's the definition of an infinite mindset. Our One Forward success teams have been an absolute shiny spot and a great place to live over the past few weeks. I'll tell you, through the ups and downs and through the challenges that the past few weeks and months have brought us, to have teacher leaders in a room doing learning together, to feel the energy, to feel the excitement, and to truly demonstrate collective efficacy has been amazing. When you work with your success team leader today, show them the respect, the care, and the trust in their knowledge and learning to help you transition into a successful start for the school year. Your first meetings today are only the first step in realizing an entirely new approach to teacher leadership. I talked about mirrored learning or remote learning being sort of where we were potentially headed anyway. Many have heard me talk about a teacher leader structure. That's a vision, that's a hope, that's a dream, that's part of what I see my leadership looking like moving forward. This got moved up about 2 or 3 years, and this is our first step forward in a teacher leader structure where everyone is represented, where everyone has a voice, and then is able to connect with colleagues and build grassroots collective efficacy in a whole new way. This will transcend COVID-19. This isn't about getting through a couple of meetings, getting through the year. Topics, ideas, missions, roles, those things may change, but this is not related to COVID-19. Leverage your collective strength and your best ability. Our kids deserve it. Those teams have purpose, and those teams have focus. And please, as you work through the rigors of a whole new way in approaching education, rely on and help your leaders find success as they begin their work with you today. Not to be lost in any of this is some balance. So we need to find ways to continue our social emotional learning, support of one another, as well as our students and our families. We need to find balance with social emotional learning with the academics. We need to find balance also with equity in the work that we've been doing. Is there an equitable environment for all of our students to be successful? This year we will begin the journey of a new strategic plan, and we will work to establish one mission, and we will work to establish a way, a framework, a route for us to find success in student learning moving forward. I'm guessing it's going to take some resilience, and I'll admit personally I have some up days, down days, and some days in between. I'm guessing many of you are in the very, very same spot. What we are going to need to have professional resilience, and in some cases personal resilience on top of that. That comes from a supportive, interdependent school system. That's what is one team, that's one district, that's one community. It's about that support. It's about picking people up, dusting them off, finding them when they're at their lowest, and bringing them up to a place where they can have a desire to take on the next challenge. We need to look at COVID as opportunity. It's here. These are not things or the world or the society that we would choose to live in, but it's here. And we have this incredible opportunity to determine how that works for students and families in our community. No one else gets to do what we'll do when kids come into our buildings or they log into their computers on day one. No one else gets to do that. And it's whether or not we see that as opportunity. Truly, this will be a year like no other. I've used this before and I keep coming back because I'm not sure I can say it any better. If you are among those who believe that it can't be done, then please do not interrupt this classroom. And by classroom, I mean physical classroom. I mean mirrored learning. I mean remote learning. But if you believe that can't be done in one of those learning settings, then please don't interrupt those who can, because they are already finding success with what comes next for our students in whichever 3 of our learning formats we're engaging at the time. We need to live our excellence. And we need to bring our best selves each and every day. We need to bring our best selves each and every day.
It's been said that in a completely rational society, the best of us would be teachers, and the rest of us would have to settle for something less, because passing civilization along from one generation to the next ought to be the highest honor and the highest responsibility any one of us can have. I speak in school communities all over the country, and many times people will ask, who's the most important group you speak to? Is it high school students, elementary students, middle school students? And all of those students are important, but you can make a very strong argument that the most important group that I speak to isn't students at all. It's teachers. I've met in my time thousands of teachers, classroom teachers, counselors, office administrators, phy-ed teachers, librarians, anybody who works in a school that has an ability to impact kids, in my mind, is a teacher. And what I've learned is that you didn't get there by accident. That you felt the special tug on your heart, and that tug said to you at some point, you are uniquely designed to impact, influence, and inspire a young person's heart, soul, and mind. And you said yes to that calling. So often teachers get bogged down in the day-to-day, and what they got into the work for ends up not being the work that they actually do, and they get burnt and they get drained and they're ready to quit. I've seen teachers as early as 6 months ready to throw in the white flag and say it's all over. They don't feel like their work matters, but it does, and I can say it firsthand. Our family actually got an email from a school nurse, a teacher in her own right, about 3 years ago, and the email read something along the lines of, I don't know how to quite say this, but your daughter, who was in 3rd grade at the time, is coming in and seeing me quite a bit, and there's some very strong red flags that I have as a nurse that she's struggling with some sort of anxiety or maybe even childhood depression. The nurse was absolutely right. And the last 3 years, my wife and I and my daughter have been in and out of counseling and therapy and psychiatrists, questioning medicine in 4th grade. Sophia missed 25 days of school because of this stuff. There were days where she couldn't even get out of bed. And I honestly don't share that to make you sad or to make you depressed, because the truth is so many of you have had harder stories or more difficult things in your life than that. I share that with you because you need to understand that only 1 year later in 5th grade, Sophia missed 0 days of school, and it wasn't because of a doctor, and it wasn't because of myself or medication. It was because of her 5th grade teacher, Miss Patty. Miss Patty single-handedly changed the game for Sophia and our entire family. And what I need you to hear is that you are the Miss Patties for so many of the students that walk into your classroom, and sometimes you know the ones you're impacting and sometimes you don't. But as a parent and as somebody who just deeply cares about young people, I need you to remind yourself that the work you do matters. The ripple effect that you have in the lives of these kiddos goes further than your eyes will ever see. So, if nothing else, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for stepping up and saying yes to that tug that you got on your heart so many years ago. Thank you for saying yes to the highest honor and the highest responsibility any one of us could have. Thank you for passing civilization forward. You have the most important job on this planet, and we need you today more than ever.
I am humbled to lead you. In Fort Atkinson, we can, we will, and we must have an incredible start to the new school year.